a reinterpretation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven as a short story. Alan lets the apartment door shut behind him. When he sets his keys down, they clitter-clatter into the decorative little jar on the side table. Any observer can see the weariness carved into his face, the stubble that has taken a paintbrush to his angled jawline. It is as if life has taken a chisel and deepened the hollows under his eyes into craters. And yet, the wrinkles that mar the cloth of his black suit cannot disguise the fact that it is finely tailored. Walking further into the confines of the apartment, he reaches out with shaking fingers and pulls a worn book from the shelf before he sinks into the familiarity of his worn leather chair. There's a hearth in front of him, cold and filled with ash. He looks down at the book, still closed in his hands, as he wonders about the purpose of the aged words. Movement. The sound of familiar footsteps comes from the hallway, the absence of sound as they stop at his door. Alan's sagging repose is broken as he shoots to his feet. With purposeful strides, he opens the heavy apartment door, expecting something, he's not sure quite what, to be on the other side. But the hallway is completely empty. Closing the door, he stumbles back to the waiting embrace of his chair. His body sags into its familiar contours. His trembling fingers swipe brutally at the graying hair on his head. How was the funeral? The words come from the bedroom doorway. A woman stands there, leaning casually against the frame, tilting her head at him in inquiry. Her hair falls in a delicate whisper, like a cascade of black feathers over one shoulder. Lee? Alan chokes out her name. Lee, what are you doing here? She smiles at him with a knowing twitch of her lips. I thought I'd surprise you. The ashen pallor of his features belies her success. She moves quickly across the room to perch upon the armrest of the floral overstuffed chair that sits parallel to his own. The darkness in the dimly lit room clings to her, shadows dragging themselves across the plush, pristine carpet, alighting on the picture frame he had tipped over on its face the night before, and catching on the ebony of her hair before sinking into the deep black of her eyes. Her fluttering fingertip traces an embroidered pink rose on the armrest of her chair. Questions tangle in Alan's throat, tumbling one over the other in his desperate need for answers. Where has she been? How is she here? He examines her fingernails, expecting to see black dirt and torn flesh, but her hands are as neat as they have ever been. He feels the pull towards her, the same pull that was there when he first met her, their closeness knotted tighter still on the day of their marriage. The pull he felt, now tainted with a sheen of guilt, mere hours earlier at her funeral, to touch her cold cheek as she lay restlessly in her coffin, to press his palms against the freshly piled dirt beneath her headstone that would evermore speak the fate of his Lee. He knows the question now, but he fears her reply. He asks it anyway. Will I ever see you again? She leans forward, her death-paled lips barely moving as she whispers in his ear. You already know the answer. And he does, of course he does, for even in her darkness, she is far beyond him. Alan stands on broken legs, reaching forward to caress a strand of Lee's silky black hair. His hand comes away, clutching a single dark feather. His world seems to seize around him as he collapses to the ground, for in that instant, his beautiful Lee is gone, her absence the price of his crimes. He hears those same familiar footsteps walking further and further down the hall away from him. He rocks at the mouth of the cold, ash as he murmurs his answer. You shall see her again, nevermore.